Hey, what's going on? JD here, and this is the Daily JD. Again, guys, apologize for the weird start yet again. Uh, just don't mind me. I'm going into my Twitter to delete a couple tweets just in case they go to the wrong stream. But essentially, uh, this stream thing's really kind of messed up. I think I mentioned that the other day. It's just, I don't know what's going on. New stream keys every time, and essentially, it's weird. I managed to get into the old YouTube studio stream, and that is good because I'm able to actually launch things and hopefully schedule things in the future. But for whatever reason, it's been really messed up, and it's having an impact. I will say that. I mean, I got a tweet, sort of right away, basically saying that. I guess there's no stream today, but there is. And like I said, on average, I'm averaging between, about at this moment, between 7 and 14 minutes late starting the stream. So I do apologize for that. It's a little bit beyond my control, and I'm not 100% sure how to deal with it. I thought I had it set up going forward. I created a new thing, used the stream key, set that all up, and of course it didn't work, so I had to actually reset it a couple times. So I have no idea. If any of you guys are streaming on YouTube and you're having issues as well, I'd be interested to hear how you've resolved them because, like I said, it's causing a great deal of difficulty sort of, getting going. I might be okay now that I'm back in Classic. I have found a way to get back to here. It wasn't letting me do that before, but we are here now, so here I am. Good to see you, Lionel. Thanks for tuning in. Good to see you, Craftsmith. Thanks for tuning in. Good to see you, Josh, as well. Hello, Elle. I hope all is well and that you're doing really good. How is my favorite little Spider Gwen doing? Hopefully you're doing awesome, and good to see that Bear the Destroyer and the Jalapenos are in there. Thank you so much, Josh. So, of course, that brings me to the one thing that I have to do every stream, and that is, of course, thank our Patreon supporters. So, our Patreon supporters are none other than, of course, Review Review Face over on Patreon, and as well as we've got our YouTube sponsors, which are none other than Josh WRB. That's why he's got those cool little emoticons that are available to subscribers or sponsors, as well as Mum's Universe, who is currently streaming over on Twitch. Good to see you, Nick. Thanks for tuning in. Good to see you, Pete. Thanks for tuning in as well. I don't even know if this stream has got a title. That's how messed up it is. I don't even know what this stream is titled. It's called J Dirom live stream. A great topic for the day, I guess. But again, it's completely messed up. I really don't know what to say at this point. It's been a little bit frustrating. The old studio was great. I could set up a time. It would have a countdown, all those kind of things. I thought I had that set up for today. I don't know if anybody saw a countdown or anything like that. And like I said, I know that it was ultimately late. So in their studio beta, they're really kind of messing up this whole live stream kind of thing. And it's going to be a little painful, I think, at least I'm not doing this like I was when I first started this 7 days a week because I'd probably be pulling my hair out. It's been frustrating the last few days. So, some things that we do want to talk about, as well as is tradition, you can put anything in the comments there. More than happy to discuss whatever you guys would like to talk about. And, it's pretty wide open in those regards. Good to see you, Dan. Good to see you, Oren, and good to see you, Scott. Oh, sure. I now see it show up. Yeah, like I said, I mean, it's completely out of whack. I have no control over anything essentially, and it takes sometimes 3 times to get it going. I'm not sure if it's because they're giving you a new stream key every time you create a stream key. And because I'm operating off 2 computers, I have to type it in, and maybe it's an error on my behalf today, but who knows? Like I said, I had to do it 3 times. Although I did launch it the one time, and essentially I got an error screen. So it's really, 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 kind of interesting. Apparently, Peter's message is inappropriate, but I'm going to show it anyways. I don't know why the the auto mod would say that that's inappropriate, but it's not. And I just got an error message as well. So if you are still there, let me know in the chat. All I'm seeing is an error occurred. Please try again later. Playback, yada, yada, yada. So maybe, just maybe, it is a YouTube thing that is going on. Uh, you know, so you are still here. You can still see me, all that kind of stuff. That's good because I can't see myself, and it says there's an error. So uh, that's good to know. That's good to know. So maybe the other stream wasn't as bunged up as I thought, but it's difficult for me to tell. It's when you're watching, initially what I do is, obviously you see me with the earbuds in. That's just to make sure that I have actual audio, that the audio is actually streaming. And then I utilize this as well to sort of keep an eye on things. I can check out sort of how bad or laggy the information is. But enough of that stuff. Might just be an error with your stream. With your stream monitor. It's quite possible. It's that's YouTube for you. It's just kind of one of those things. But at least I can see the chat, so that's good. So at least we can still communicate and talk. So one of the interesting things going on today, and we'll talk about this, is essentially Patreon. So I'll throw the Patreon logo back up there if I could find it, but I can't. So with Patreon, what is going on is they have essentially they're rolling out a new platform. It looks like if you have been on Patreon for a while, that you will be grandfathered in, but it looks like they are going to potentially be charging a monthly service fee, is kind of what I see coming forward. They've got 3 plans set up, and it says coming soon. They've got a light version where it's probably you're not going to be charged anything or paid a really high percentage on your transactions. So it's interesting because Patreon is something that a lot of creators use. I use it myself to help sort of fund their channels, or get to certain places, or do things to help their channels expand, so on and so forth. So if they start to go to charging, it's one of those things where it's not going to be helpful for a lot of smaller creators, because ever since YouTube's demonetization, and when Patreon sort of became the most important thing for us, was when demonetization happened and we weren't getting any ad revenue. A lot of you, such as Nick, Matt Mort, Reviewing McReviewface, we had Kalela in there, a bunch of YouTubers and people that I know decided to support us on Patreon, which was fantastic at the time. That's dwindled down a little bit, which is fine. Like we never really are too concerned about that stuff. But generally speaking, it was just nice to see that kind of support. However, if you're a smaller creator and you start losing a lot of your money to fees or paying a monthly fee so that you can basically get Patreons, one of the things that the new system has, if you have Lite, you don't have the opportunity to have tiers, which Patreon allows you to do, have various different tiers of support. That doesn't exist. So it's going to make it harder for smaller channels again. And it's interesting to me that, this seems to be very, very much the trend on most social media platforms, is that they are catering a lot to the larger user bases, to the larger creators, which I understand as well. They are making a lot of money and making them a lot of money. However, it's kind of you're left to the sharks and little kind of little tidbitty bits of bait when you're at the bottom of the chain, like most of us. So it's interesting that Patreon, which is supposed to be this very, very creator friendly platform, is going this route. So it's a little disappointing, because that was kind of an outlet for everybody who was under the 2,400 watch time hours and under 1,000 subscribers, that's a place that they could flock to get a little bit of support. So there you go. This is why I use PayPal for donations for my channel. That does work. The only issue with PayPal is, a lot of times you will see, and this used to be a common practice on Twitch, was before Twitch started getting into Cheer, which is a money source that is exclusive to Twitch, and it's run by Twitch and Amazon, as well as the subscription model, was that people would have the PayPal donate button. And then you would have, of course, these people come in and they would donate thousands of dollars. They would just drop, $1,000 or 5,000. And I'm sure if you go to YouTube and do a search, you can find lots of videos where it's like, I get this monstrous tip, and some of those are legit. Like I know Josh WRB got a nice big tip from one of his viewers at one point, and he's got a video. You should check that out. But a lot of people would experience what they call chargebacks. So somebody was using a stolen credit card number, or they would just reverse the charge saying they didn't get the service, or so on and so forth. The problem being at that point is that you lose money in that transaction to PayPal, as well as is that if you are quick to withdraw that money, once it doesn't really clear in PayPal, it just kind of gets added to your account. If you were quick to get rid of that, there were people owing a lot of money to PayPal, so it can be problematic, the PayPal donation system, and it's one of those things that's it's kind of hit and miss, so you have to be really kind of careful with that. But I mean, generally speaking, I think the vast majority of people are fairly honest. It's just if you do happen to get a large donation, I would wait. I think the period is 30 days before you start pulling that cash out and spending it, just in case you do happen to get a chargeback. It's one of those kind of things that does happen from time to time. Nick says, did not like the Patreon system. They jacked me around, and that's why I got away from that system. And that's fair enough as well. I know there were people that were very, very unhappy as well. At one point, Patreon changed how much they were charging people when somebody donated money. They increased it again where it hurt small creators. It's just one of those things that sometimes you just can't kind of get away from. I'm not 100% sure. I'm going to have to delve in a little bit deeper into their 3 tiers, what the cost for those tiers or what the requirements are. But I really think, even though they haven't said it yet, is that there's going to be a monetary number attached, because they were talking about percentages for transactions. And anybody who does e-commerce sites or does anything with e-commerce, banking will know that numbers plays a big part on the percentage that you get sort of charged. So, make sure that you are, definitely looking into those things. Again, as a Patreon person that's already there, you are grandfathered in. So, keep your account. However, that being said, the tier that they are putting you in, if that becomes a chargeable thing, I know I will be the first person to essentially drop that. So there you go. Oren says, me, Patreon and PayPal don't have a good relationship. I was supporting an artist, and after I ended my support, Patreon charged me $300 in one day, and I haven't been reimbursed, and that was 2 years ago. That is ridiculous. That is crazy. $300 in one day. It's interesting how these things can happen, and how difficult it is to sort of get money or save money or get money back, or it's a little bit crazy. One of the things that's out there, and Review Face, who used to do a lot of videos on Amazon stuff because he did a lot of Amazon reviews, and in fact I think he was a top 100 reviewer at some point, with all the reviews that he was doing. He will tell you, and I can tell you as well because I am a ranked Amazon reviewer as well, is that once you start establishing that, I get emails every day from companies that want me to review their product, and essentially what they offer is for you to buy it on Amazon, and they'll refund you via PayPal is typically how those kind of things go. It's weird because you have to respond to a lot of them, because I'll get them. They'll say, hey, do you want to do a product review? Hey, are you interested in reviewing our product? This is what we have. In some cases, I've said sure, and it's like, okay, well, head over to Amazon, buy it here, and we'll refund you via PayPal, which I've never done because it's ridiculous. It's, you're probably never going to see that money. They're probably not going to refund you ever, and if they do, they might just yank it if they don't like what you say. So it's not really a review, as it is, just kind of like, here's some free product, write something good about us, which is not the right way to do a review. So, Nick says, just another example of multi-million-dollar company nickeling and diming their clients, customers, product, and producers. Many of my bigger YouTubers have rejected Patreon and are using their own websites, membership platforms, etc. Which is 100%, it's accurate. I mean, it's every time you add somebody in between, and I think we talked about this last week when we talked about doing merchandise, is that any time that you add somebody in between, they're going to take their cut. The more things that you can do directly, the more stuff that you can do without a middleman, the more money that you have to make. Unfortunately, sometimes with that, the more money that you have to invest, and sometimes a little bit more risk. I mean, there is nothing stopping someone here from basically setting up their own website, getting an account with somewhere like Stripe is a good example. So Stripe will do online transactions. Yes, it does cost, but anybody who has a business knows that, whether you have a Moneris terminal or whoever's terminal, that essentially any transactions via credit card or debit card cost you money to happen. They charge you a fee, and then they charge you a percentage. But there's nothing stopping you from doing that. Things like Stripe, where it's a small percentage, you can definitely do that. The only risks that you have is if somebody charges back, obviously you are not going to get that money, and there may be a small service fee attached to it as well. But there's nothing stopping anybody from doing that. You don't need Patreon to do those things. You don't need any of these companies necessarily to do stuff like that. It's just that a lot of times there's kind of that trust factor as well. Like, people have used Patreon in the past, and they know that there's some backing behind it, I guess is essentially what it is. But I mean, the truth of the matter is, if you're going to support a creator and they're going to have that all set up there in their own sort of infrastructure, there shouldn't be an issue anyways. You can always, like I said, if you start getting fraudulent activity on your credit card, you charge it back. It happens. You go sign your affidavit. It's not uncommon. So there you go. If someone can send you the actual product to review, they aren't a real business, and they're likely just a drop shipper. And that is definitely the case as well with the Amazon stuff. So, I mean, as far as, sort of, outside support, again, there are good tools. Like I said, having sponsors on YouTube is a good thing. People like to keep, sort of things within YouTube. It is very, very helpful in those regards. I mean, Patreon does work as well, but there's nothing stopping you from doing that. And you see it a lot of bigger creators doing that, as Nick says, that, guys like Philip DeFranco, have basically set up his own, ecosystem, because he knows ultimately at the end of the day that is something that he controls. And I think we've said this, 100 times over, is that, the more that you control something, the more that's in your control, the better off you are in the end. If you can, if a website essentially blows up or shuts down tomorrow, there's nothing that you can do to control that. A real life example of that is kind of an interesting situation as well. Is that for those of you who have utilized Media Lab, YYC, which is Kyle Marshall's lab, where you can go record podcasts, you can go film your video and stuff like that. The space that he was in is essentially shutting down. down. So he now finds himself in the position of finding a new place to relocate. So he'll be doing that shortly. And as soon as we find out where that is, we will definitely let you know. But again, that's beyond his control. He doesn't own the building. He doesn't own the business that, basically his business operates in. So the moment, any of those things change, essentially he's susceptible to those. So, if they close their doors, the bridge closed their doors, that means he's closed his doors. If the building operator decides that he's cleaning everything out because he's going to put something else in there, by de facto, the bridge is shut down. De facto, Media Lab is shut down. So he's in the process of moving, and he'll be back up and going shortly. And again, we will definitely realize, or we'll definitely get that information to you when Kyle does, sort of find out where he is, and we'll definitely let you know. In a sense, you can always look for the positives and things like that. So it gives him an opportunity to sort of reevaluate where his business at, gives him the opportunity to either upsize, make some improvements, or, make some changes during this move instead of, shutting down and then, essentially, having to transfer spaces. He can sort of do that all in one fell swoop. Josh says, I feel that. I think they shut down effectively immediately. If I remember correctly, no wind down time, just done. And again, like that's the crazy thing about any business. It doesn't matter if you're creative on YouTube. It doesn't matter if you are, a business in a mall or anything like that. It doesn't matter what you do. Like I said, when somebody else controls an aspect of your business, you are susceptible to that control. It's if you are on a production line as well, it's like if somebody has to do something before you can do your thing, and you don't do that thing, and they're not doing that thing, you're not doing your thing. And it has a big time effect on you. So, I mean, the more that you can control, the better off. I mean, the unfortunate thing is the vast majority of us are just one person. You can't do everything yourself all the time. So sometimes we have to trust and, put our faith in certain things, and of course you just want to need and make the best decisions possible, right? Anytime that like I said, if you make it self-sufficient where you're going to have to run credit cards and, activate user accounts and all that kind of stuff, that's additional work that you are going to have to do. But, if you use something that's utilized like the YouTube built-in system, then you don't have to do that. And I mean, it's your choice. I mean, I can turn off the sponsor button at any point. I can just say, I'm not taking sponsorships. I don't do that, or I do something else and, promote it that way. You can definitely do those things, but it's not always the case. So that's kind of, what's going on with Patreon. Today I learned some things today. Today I learned it's a long weekend. I am horrible with that. I will be the first to admit it. I had no idea that tomorrow is a stat holiday. I just got canceled on for the show on Saturday, so I will not be at Metric and July Talk like I thought. So my week, and I think I've got one production meeting next week, and other than that, like I've got nothing. Like I literally have nothing going on. So this is my open kind of invitation. If anybody wants to kind of make a video next week, by all means, drop me a shout or some noise, or wants to do anything. I don't even know, at this point, I was just kind of cruise into my Friday, to have my normal office hours. I mean, saying that I don't have my normal office hours, it isn't really that different for me, to be honest. But, it's, I like to maintain certain office hours. I like to do business stuff during those times and, make sure that I'm making calls and sending emails and doing stuff and proactively looking for work, versus just kind of sitting back and waiting for work to come to me, and calling people and doing things and, shaking babies and all that kind of stuff. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I don't know why I have such a big gap. Normally I don't have it. And I didn't realize it until today. First it was the long weekend thing. I'm like, oh, okay, well, what's the long weekend? Which day is it that people have off? Because I know Easter's kind of the 4 day thing. And I learned today that Friday is in fact the stat holiday, so tomorrow's a stat. For anybody else that doesn't know, which I don't think is probably the case, I feel like I'm the only person that really didn't understand this. And I guess, which I found weird, is Monday is optional. Monday is a completely optional holiday in Alberta. So your employer may give it to you as a stat. Your employer may not give it to you as a stat, which is weird to me. Like I don't know. It's kind of like one of those things. I guess if you're a good boss, you give people the holiday. If you're a bad boss, or it's you just don't. Like I don't know. Like that just seems really really weird to me. But anyways, my schedule is completely wide, 100% open. So anybody interested in kind of doing whatever. I don't know. Maybe I'll go to the mountains. Maybe I will take a trip down to the U.S. I don't even know at this point. It's just, poor planning on my behalf. You should be a better planner and organizer than myself. Generally I'm pretty good, but for whatever reason, this week completely got away on me. Usually I plan really far ahead in terms of holidays. Because I do schedule stuff, but this is just kind of one of those arbitrary things. I don't think I've had a week like this that was unplanned ever. Yeah, you know, again, I was supposed to be working Saturday, but it's not the case anymore, so I'm not. So that's kind of where that's at. There you go. It's zombie Jewish fantasy savior of the world holiday. Fantasy. Fair enough. It's again, I just kind of like to take days off. Kind of the bigger thing. And initially, when I found out it was a long weekend, again, I feel really stupid saying that. Is that I was just like, oh, okay, well then I know people that typically work 9 to 5. Because I have to tell myself and remind myself sometimes. It's like when I want to go do something, not everybody's available to do stuff. Is that they'll probably be off. Maybe somebody will want to go have a beer, go hang out at a brewery, go do something, go race go karts. I don't even know. So there you go. I'm taking Lisa to July Truck Metric. Bought her tickets on her birthday last month. Nice, nice. It should be a good show. It should be a really super show. I'm kind of disappointed that I am not photographing it. I love Leah Faye. She is a very entertaining singer who is always amazing to photograph because she is a very expressional kind of dancer and singer. I have photographed July Talk probably like 5 or 6 times at least that, probably more. It's again when you have a good photographic subject working for you, it's really always awesome to take photographs because you're going to get something good. And I'm the kind of guy, I'm competitive. I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna joke about that. It's that's just how I'm wired. And I know I'm gonna miss out on some great shots that I could have taken, and that's always disappointing to me. But you will enjoy that show. It'll be fantastic. They are two absolutely amazingly talented Canadian bands, and I believe it's at the Corral. So you'll have a nice, a smaller kind of venue to take it in at. So, other than that, I don't think I have a ton of other stuff to talk about. I could talk about the 4 o'clock fight that didn't happen because somebody called me out and wanted to fight me. So I said if they wanted to fight me that bad, that they could show up at 4 o'clock here and they could fight me on the live stream. And they didn't show up. So I guess that's not a thing. So there you go. I thought it was at the Dome. I think it was at the Corral. I can take a look at my email here, probably, and tell you right away, Nick. Da, 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 da. That's not it. Is that it? Is that it? Yeah, it's at the Stampede Corral. Stampede Corral. unless they've changed it. The venue, it is at, in fact, the Crown. Someone wants to fight you. Is Dirt Pig or is it Hans? It's neither of those guys. If they are watching the stream, they can definitely chirp in and obviously shit talk as much as they were shit talking earlier. More than happy for them to do that. They're more than welcome to do that on this stream. Like I said, I don't anything, but I will just go and say, you said you wanted to fight. You said anytime, any place. I gave you a time and a place, and I said I would live stream it. And then it was like all of a sudden you're busy. And I don't know what the deal with that is, but I guess, some people just are not fans of me. But it would have been interesting to live stream. I think it would have to have a couple consent forms or something like that beforehand. But yeah, I mean, I'm old, I'm fat, I'm probably an easy target, to be honest. Probably not a big deal, but some people are just not going to take that, I guess, any day of the week. But yeah, it's kind of interesting. I guess I guess I look like I'm punchable. So there you go. I think Dirt Pig is old as well. I think both Dirt Pig and Hans are old like me. So I mean, when you get to my age, you don't really want to fight anymore. You just kind of you kind of talk tough, and that's kind of it. I don't mind. I've been, actually, to be honest, I've been injured. I haven't been training for the last 3 months because of my elbow injury. I get my targeted ultrasound on May 4th. Hopefully I get this, whatever this is in my elbow, pulled out shortly thereafter. And hopefully that's dealt with, and then I can get back to what I like to do. But it just, it's been an interesting time. So again, I don't have much for you in terms of anything else. I don't. It's the stream is all messed up. It's all completely messed up. All the controls are completely messed up. I don't know what the deal is with this. So hopefully this is not. Hopefully this is still running because it's still kind of all kind of messed up. Where are we at? We're at. There we go. Hey, I got photographs again. There we go. I just needed a good old refresh. So, hope you guys have an absolutely fantastic weekend. I'm going to click the play ad button as is tradition. And so, if you do get an ad, by all means, let me know in the chat there. But other than that, not a ton going on. I think I have finally come to sort of where I want to be with the website for the collective. I also do want to mention as well, there is more stuff that I want to talk about. Like I said, when these streams kind of get messed up, I have notes that I put in, some of the boxes here that don't go out to you, and they get messed up when it kind of gets all crapped up. But with the website for the Creator Collective, I think I know where I want to go site-wise. So I have a pretty good idea with that. I may be starting that shortly. So I may be asking some of you that are interested in that project for information, graphics, and so on and so forth to represent your individual brands, as well as the Dudecast. We've got a new episode out. It's a podcast with myself and Nick. It is currently available out there. You can check on Anchor FM. Is probably the best place to check it out right now. It is also on Spotify and a bunch of other channels. It is not currently on iTunes. I don't know what the deal is there, but that's iTunes for you. They rule the world, so they kind of get to do what they want. But as much as that says catch episode 1, we are 3 episodes in. So if you are interested in checking out the podcast, I know Nick was saying there was about a good chunk of people that watched the first episode. I don't know if I ever pumped the second episode, but please do make sure to check those out, as well as follow us on Spotify. You can do that, as well as, add it to whatever, sort of podcast listening device that you are using, whatever you use to sort of, culminate your podcasts. So by all means, please do check that out. And again, I will say it that any kind of feedback that you want to give us on the podcast as well, I am more than open to it. I always want to hear what I can do better, or what we can do better, or what you would like to see, or what you would like to hear, or what you would like us to talk about. Very much the same as this stream in itself. So again, I don't see any chit chatting. I don't know if that's just YouTube or if it's just gotten quiet, but that's essentially all I have for you guys. Again, if you want to create a video or something like that, by all means, reach out to me on Twitter if you have any ideas, because it's going to be a quiet week for me. I am going to stream directly after this on Twitch. So if you are interested in watching some Street Fighter there, you can definitely catch me over on Twitch, and it'll take me about a minute to go over there. But that is the link for my Twitch channel. Appreciate it. So until next week, hope you have a fantastic long weekend. However you decide to celebrate Easter, hopefully you spend it around family and friends and have a good time. If you were at the meetup and you do have a video coming out, and it does come out, by all means, do let me know, and we will definitely put it on the playlist, because that playlist is over on the Collective YouTube channel as we speak. So until next time, see ya.